Hello, and welcome back. I noticed on the episode where we woke up in the infirmary that there's a part at the beginning where the volume's gross, just like ringing in your ear. Like I've said before, I don't know how to edit yet. I'm not going to really look into that just yet. My videos are turning out pretty fine, so as long as I don't see that again in this one, I'll keep going. But since I don't know how to edit, I would have redone that whole video, and I don't want to redo that whole video because then it's like I'd have to try and just, So we're gonna continue on from here. Welcome back. Pretty sure this is episode 8, if I can count. Okay, and let's get going. It's Draken to go back to her own class. I breathe a deep sigh of relief. Draken is fun in small doses, but I just can't match her enthusiasm and energy. Everything seems to excite or fascinate her. It's like she's been living in exile her whole life until this point. At the very least, I doubt she spent much time in human cities before now. Wonder what her life was like before coming to this academy. Before I can ponder Draken's past any further, I hear rustling. To my immediate left, I turn to look at the person beside me. Even as I watch her, however, I cannot understand her actions in the slightest. If it's the Shah, then yeah. Shah? What on earth are you doing? Saw his long pointy ears jet out from underneath the desk. Her torso is slowly pulled back, and her face comes into view. Nothing that concerns you. Back to your daydreaming, mind your own business. Softly lays his head under the desk once more. She remains seated, yet her head turns left and right, and her seat occasionally shifts with her. Are you perhaps looking for something? If you tell me what it is, I can help you look for it. Shaw carefully moves her head from under the desk, sits up straight, and turns to my face. Do not underestimate me, human. We elves may attract more attention to our ears, but the fact of the matter is our eyes are greater assets. I cannot see something. What makes you think that you'll be able to? So you did lose something. What is it? You don't tell me, then I won't never know if I see it. I just said that I don't need your help. I can handle something as simple as this on my own. Without saying anything, I continue to stare at the Shah. Her eyes occasionally dart back and forth, quickly stealing glances at my face before looking away. A coin. You said it's a coin. It's small, it's made of wood. I think it fell out of my pocket when I sat down, but I cannot be certain. A small wooden coin, huh? Elven currency, perhaps? Let's see. Doesn't sound very valuable. But if it's important, I'm going to use magic, because like she said, if she can't see it, how would I see it? So, even in my weakened state, locating something in my immediate vicinity should be a piece of cake. I'll find this coin in no time at all. Close my eyes and slow my breathing. Aether begins to gather in my palms, it escapes from my grip and flows around my body. It gradually thins as it spreads out, creating a large circle, with my body at the center. Before long, I've widened my search radius to every corner of the classroom. Surely enough, I locate the coin. It's out the front of the classroom, near the doorway on the left. It seems to have rolled towards the desks of the person closest to the door. Though skeptical, Lashal stands up and walks over to the aforementioned location. A few moments later, she returns to my side, wearing a pleased expression and holding a wooden coin. Impressive work. You have my thanks, Sable. Of course, I could have done that too, if I wanted to. I don't doubt it, Miss Valedictorian. So, what's with the coin? Is it a form of currency in your hometown? It would be nice if that were true, but I'm afraid not. This coin is merely sentimental junk. A solemn expression appears on Leisha's face as she tightly grips the wooden coin. Despite Lisa calling it junk, it's clearly as valuable only to her. I wouldn't expect you to know this, but most elven villages do not use any form of currency. This coin is merely something I made when I was still a child. A treasure from your childhood, huh? That's nice. But wait a minute, if your village doesn't use currency, then where do you... that was quick of you. Indeed. This was not an intimidation of a currency used in my village. Rather, this is something I crafted after our village was visited by a wandering human. A human visited your village. must have been feeling brave. I've heard that elven villages are truly receptive of visitors from other races. Please do not speak as if you know us. Historically, humans have always been more hostile towards other races than we have. It's only though the efforts of my father and Bartholomew that humans and elves are now able to coexist, albeit in a limited capacity. Bartholomew, the man who visited our village. Sometime after my father took over as village leader, Bartholomew came to us seeking shelter. He attempted to pay us for protection, saying that he feared reprisal and condemnation from his fellow men. He paid you for protection. He tried to. Bartholomew offered us many gold coins, promising that more would follow if we agreed to help him. Initially, we refused his money. We had no need for human currency after all. Accepting his money would be akin to inviting trouble into our village for no reason. It wasn't until my father saw the opportunity to build a relationship with mankind that Bartholomew's offer gained value. So your father took his money after all, not directly. At that time, it was forbidden for demi-humans to purchase land in or around human settlements. In fact, we were forbidden from purchasing pretty much anything at all, not to mention that we were unwelcome in human civilizations to begin with. My father used Bartholomew's money and influence to put our races on the path to coexistence. Or at least that's how the story goes. Wow, that's amazing. I think that your father played such a vital role in building relations between humans and elves. Don't give him too much credit. This all happened almost 100 years ago. There are no humans alive today who were present back then. Our fellow villagers have never left their homes. As such, it's entirely possible that the history regarding our races is a convenient fabrication of my father's devised. Damn. That makes you 100-something. I think that your father is lying. Wait a minute, 100 years? It was that long ago. That's what I said. Is there a problem with that? Of course there is. If that happened all 100 years ago and you were a child, that started to build your village then, my lips quiver as I hesitate to ask. Yes, Sable. I have more than 100 years of age. We elves live very long compared to human beings. In exchange, it also takes longer for us to grow and to mature. In fact, despite my age, I'm only just barely considered to be an adult, even now. Right, I've forgotten how different the aging process can be for some races. That's something I've always wondered about, because would she still be same mental capacity, say, because I'm 22. If she was 22, would she have been the same mental capacity? I'm still considered an adult. If you look at it from a point of view of them going to school, they've been put into like a same age group kind of thing. So it's interesting to look at. Most demi-humans have lifespans significantly shorter or longer than humans. Those with smaller lifespans to ours are actually the minority. Could it be that, of all the people I've met at this academy, I'm the only one who's still a teenager? What's wrong, Sable? Are you saddened by the thought of how short and miserable the life of a human being truly is? Now we may have comparative short lives, but that doesn't mean we're miserable. Perhaps you are right. Nevertheless, if human beings did possess longer lifespans, at least my father's words might be tested. As things stand, the only proof I have of Bartholomew's existence and his time in my village is the coin I crafted. Elf's responsibility for strengthening relations between our two races lives on, yet the human who made this all possible is not but a memory. It is all far too pitiful. Damn. The moment that Alicia's face begins to warp bitterly, the sound of our classroom's door closing echoes through the room. Pitiful. Can't see, because then it'd be interesting to look at it from a dragon's perspective. If you look at it, elves live through decades like nothing. Dragons live through centuries like nothing. So a dragon could have been there since the dawn of time. So anything is just boring and crap. That's why a longer lifespan sucks in the long run. But yeah, you'd see everything, and you still have to live on. Sounds like a sad existence, especially if everyone else dies around you. Our teacher has arrived at last, and and with her arrival, my discussion with Leisha has come to an end. Bartholomew and Inn, huh? I don't know how much information I'll be able to find about those two, but Leisha certainly has made me curious. Oh yeah, I think there'd be some kind of history book if they're the starters of like us connecting. Perhaps I'll pay a visit to the library later and see what I can find. Yep, that's where you'd find something. Oh, dang it, I was hoping there'd be an actual class. This class comes to an end. I quickly make my way to the cafeteria. My stomach is more or less empty right now, since certain accusations of mine kept me from eating earlier. So acquaintances, I knew I was wrong. Before I do anything, it's time to eat. Alright, still pretty empty in here, so I should be able to get served quickly as long as I place my order soon. I suppose the better question is whether I should get something quick or a proper meal. If I get something quick, I head to the library and learn more about Bartholomew. If I take my time, I'll be able to kick back for a while and talk to my friends. Research her food. What an impossible choice to make. So, I am interested in learning more about Bartholomew. If I go to the library, it's going to meet Drew, and I'm not interested in trying to go her route at the moment. Out of all of them, that's the route I'm not too interested in. If she has a route, which I'm pretty sure she does, because she's the only person we meet going to the library. And I know we had a choice to go to the library earlier. It was either like the cafeteria or library, so I'm gonna eat proper. It may not be more exciting option, but it's definitely what my body needs right now. Besides, it's not like a man who's been dead for 100 years is going anywhere. I can conduct my research whenever I want. Choosing to spoil myself a little, I order a big meal enough to count as both lunch and dinner. I take it with me to the far corner of the cafeteria so that I won't have people moving around me while I eat. And I place the tray down, sit in front of it, and dig in. Eating is a chore. It's pretty damn satisfying when you're hungry. I like to figure out some way to survive off Aether alone. Like certain demi-humans do, but for now, I guess I'll treat this as a guilty pleasure. Shoveling potato and chicken into my mouth, I consume a great deal of food, far too quickly for my own good. By the time I realize it, I'm halfway through my meal, and I'm beginning to feel pain in my stomach. Indigestion, damn. I forgot all too about the dangers of eating too quickly. Put my fork down, sit up straight, take a few deep breaths. All the things that magic and modern medicine can cure. Why is it that we still? You can finish that? I was waiting for it. Whoa. I jump in fright as a floating head suddenly appears right in front of me. Ray, what the hell are you doing? Isn't it obvious? I am helping people with full stomachs to finish off their lunch. Act now, and I'll perform this selfless act of action of the usual cost, ignoring Ray's kind offer. I look past her head and try to find her body. Her neck continues to wobble up and down without her head moving, and I can hear footsteps approaching. A few moments later, her body comes into view. Thank you for your offer, but I'm not finished just yet, and even if I was, I'd sooner flash freeze my meal, save it for later, and pay someone else to eat it. What? What? His head begins to retract, and the footsteps that I hear grow frenzied. Footsteps become louder and louder. A few seconds later, a familiar face appears before me once again. You can't freeze fresh food like that. That's cartilage, unforgivable affront to all that is holy. Sacrilege, okay. Not to say, I was like, I can't read that word at all. Good to see you in one piece again. Could you quiet down a bit though? People are staring. Let them stare. In front of this many sets of eyes, there's no way you could commit such an atrocity. You know, I wasn't actually planning on freezing my food. But now that you've said that much, both my hands hover over my plates. Aether begins to swirl around my forearms, and the temperature of the air surrounding my body quickly drops. Stop that. Take a second to think about what you're doing. Ignoring Ray's desperate plea, I lower my hands. My food and plate are still piping hot. I've kept it all at fair temperature by routinely warming it up while eating, casting magic contrary to what I am now. So he's casting magic the entire time he's eating. For having a bracelet that's supposed to suck his magic, it's not doing the best, is it? Well, maybe it just stops him from doing powerful spells. That makes sense. The hot food creates a small amount of steam as it meets the freezing cold air currently surrounding my hands. Droplets of water are formed and they hit the plate below with a sizzle. Please stop. Can't you hear your food crying out for mercy? All I can hear is the sound of lunch turning into dinner. Ray watches on in horror as I lower my hands further. The small amount of steam disappears. The difference in heat is no longer great enough to cause such a reaction. In a few moments, my food will be frozen solid. I can't just stand here and watch this any longer. Sable, I challenge you to a duel. I'm gonna decline. I return Ray's enthusiastic challenge with a bemused glare. I decline. What? Why? Because I have nothing to gain. Even if I win, you're a lower rank than I am. It's not like mine would go up. You don't have any money either, or anything else I might want for that matter. Stop cooling down my food and instead begin to heat it up once more. After a few seconds of me using my hands like an oven, my meal is warm enough to enjoy. Finally, I push my plate and utensils towards Ray. This is. If you want it so badly that you're willing to duel me for it, you might as well just take it. I've already eaten enough anyway, so it's not like Sable. She's crying. Ah! Ray almost knocks me into the floor as she launches her body towards. Ray, what are you doing? Thank you so much, Sable. I was so hungry, I thought I was going to starve. You're an angel, a real live angel. I get it already. Get off me and eat your food before it gets cold. I try to flay Ray from my body, but she holds on tight. Rather than let go, she extends her neck backwards and starts eating, just using her head. Ray, at least use a knife and fork. Like watching a pig eat from a trough. Glaring at Ray in disgust, Eth casually walks towards us. Oh, Eth, I should have figured you'd be along soon since Ray's here. I've gotten here sooner, but Ray left me behind. She said she smelled food that was about to be wasted, and she rushed over here as quickly as she could. Somehow I get the feeling that you aren't joking. Finally, I managed to free myself from the grasp of Ray, who's now engrossed in her meal. I stand up and walk towards Eth. Well, at least I only need to put up with Ray's shenanigans when I visit the cafeteria. You, on the other hand, are stuck with her during every class for the rest of the year. My condolences. It's not that bad. Ray only acts up when there's food nearby. Oh, so she's normal during class. Normal might be a stretch. Get it, Ray? Stretch? Punny? It's very punny. Because she's a blah blah blah. Yeah, I get it. At any rate, as long as you two are better behaved during class, I guess there's no problem. Me too? Why would I not behave myself? Seriously? You don't see your sly remarks about people as a potential problem? I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, sure you don't. What about you, Sable? You behave yourself during class? Of course I do. I'll have you know that I'm a model student. Apart from when you're showing off and attacking 2 entire classes full of students, you mean? Damn. Wipes the smile off her face with a single well-timed remark. Okay, maybe I'm not quite as good as a student as I think. Don't make that kind of expression. There's nothing wrong with slipping up now and then. Well, that may be true. It doesn't sound very convincing coming from someone who's ranked almost last in our grade. Ooh, the model student shows no mercy. While F and R are making senseless small talk, Ray finished up her meal. With a satisfied look on her face, Ray stands up, patting her belly as she turns towards us. Whew, that was good. Thanks for the meal, Sable. Don't mention it. Seriously though, can't you be relying on other people to provide for food for you? If you want to eat your heart's content, raise your rank. It was that easy to raise my rank, I wouldn't be in this situation. And what about buying cheaper meals? There's plenty of affordable food on the menu. You're only in trouble now because you keep gorging yourself on expensive cuisine. I'm not going to lower myself to the level of a food hater like you. I'll have you know that only the finest cuisines can satisfy a refined palate such as mine. How does tap water sound? Because the way you're going, that's what you'll end up with. Sure, keep talking, food hater. Just you wait and see. When I've exhausted all other options, that's when I really shine. I can't wait. Brushing off Ray's baseless pride, I lean closer to Eth. You might want to watch your back. I don't know if Mandalorian petals are edible or not, but Ray seems like the type to not let that stop her. I think you're right. Perhaps I should start spraying myself with pesticide again. Works well enough against ants and beetles. Or I could start using extra smelly fertilizer. It attracts bugs, but it should help to stop Ray's advances. Life as a plant sounds tougher than I thought. Eth speaks and acts like a human, but I'm starting to think that our similarities end there. Despite her apparent ease of assimilation, Eth might actually be the least human student I've met at the academy so far. I suppose this is just one more topic I'll need to find the time to research. Eth has been open about her biology so far. There are still plenty of questions I can't ask her directly, not yet at least. No matter how frustrating it is to be fed information like this, I'm just gonna have to be patient, take my time learning about all the demi-humans around me. There's too many to focus on one. After sitting through my final class of the day, I head straight to my room without making any detours. Though not as troublesome as my first day at the academy, today has been just as tiring. All day, I've been absorbing knowledge in class, talking to my classmates, making friends, and learning about the demi-humans around me. Combining all of that with self-study, it's no wonder that I feel exhausted. I'm sure with this, it gets easier with time goes on. I've just been overwhelmed by the changing environment, that's all. Once I've carved out a daily routine and come to terms with my surroundings, this will be no different than high school. While telling myself that, I lay down on my bed and close my eyes. A wave of euphoria washes over me, and I can feel the fatigue leaving my body. Is it euphoria? I think it is. I don't know what that means, though. I've been looking forward to this. Sable? Naked Pixie. Yep. I quickly sit up as Tick's voice enters my ear. Less than half an inch away from my face, she seems to manifest out of nowhere, almost giving me a heart attack in the process. What are you? Easy there, Sable. Catch your breath. Take a few deep breaths to calm down. Afterwards, I glance at Tix, who is still right next to my face. Tix, are you trying to kill me? Kill you? Don't be silly. If I want to do that, you'd already be dead. It's not funny. I laughed nervously as I tried to figure out whether Tix was joking or not. She wouldn't really kill me in my sleep, would she? So, Tix, what are you doing here so early? What am I in our room when it's lights go outside, you mean? Why am I in our room when it's still light outside, you mean? No particular reason. I just don't have anywhere else to be. Classes are over. I don't need much food when I'm in this form, so it's not like I need to be anywhere in particular. What about you, Sable? Isn't it obvious? She simply smiles and waits for me to explain. You're kidding me, right? I was lying down on my bed, my eyes closed. Obviously, I was trying to get some sleep. You were? I thought you were focusing on a spell or visualizing glyphs. I may be fairly diligent student, but I'm not that dedicated. Besides, even the most prudent of mages need sleep, you know? They do. That hasn't been my experience. Yes, of course they... Wait a second. What do you mean by that? By what? You just said. How hasn't that been your experience? Oh, well, you know. Some of the warrior class pixies go weeks without sleeping at a time. My grandma, too. I don't think I've ever seen her go to sleep. Are you telling me that pixies have figured out a way to function without sleeping? I guess you could put it like that. But before you get too excited, pretty sure it won't work for a human. Oh. Sorry, Sable. Just like with the physical enhanced magic we use to grow to human size. It's a trick that relies on our body structure. I told you how to do it. You put it into practice, you'd probably die trying. Too bad. I've been wanting to cut sleep out of my life for years. Now, it just isn't that easy. Cheer up. It's not like sleep is a bad thing. And even if you did get rid of it, you'd probably go insane from boredom. Yeah, maybe. Don't you ever wonder what it would be like to have another 8 hours every day to do whatever you want? As things stand, we spend an entire third of our lives just sleeping. You think that's a waste? Well, maybe a little. But even if I had more time, it's not like I'd do anything productive with it. You may feel that way now. That's just the fatigue talking. You never needed to rest and never felt tired. There'd be no need to what you could accomplish. There'd be no end to what you could accomplish. I think you'd have to be pretty self-motivated to actually make use of that time. I probably just lays around for 8 hours until everyone else wakes up. You're no fun. But if you appreciate sleep that much, at least let me get some rest this time. May not like it, but I do need to sleep. Okay. Good night, Grumpy. Good night. Suddenly, as she appeared, takes Fantasies from my sight. In her miniature form, her true form, rather, she doesn't make a sound as she flies, or even as she lands. In that regard, if no other, she's the perfect roommate. Tiny, naked pixie. My eyes open. I find myself enveloped by the dark of night. My roommate is asleep, as the majority of the other students and teachers at the academy are. For the second night in a row, I have awoken at an unnatural time. Damn it. I should have realized that going to bed early would result in a repeat of yesterday. I don't really feel like going back to sleep, though. I've wasted enough of my time sleeping lately. Unfortunately, staying up isn't an option either, at least. Not in here, where I might disturb my somewhat scary roommate. So I guess that just leaves a midnight stroll. I creep out of my dorm room as quietly as I can. Lights in the hallway are on, so it takes me a moment for my eyes to adjust, but once they do, my stride becomes confident. This shouldn't be a problem, should it? I mean, there are plenty of nocturnal demi-human species around. I don't know how many of them actually attend the academy, but surely there must be at least a few. So I walk through the hallways. I don't pass by a single student or teacher. The hallways are empty. As are the classrooms. The entire academy's dead silent. I seem to be the only one who's awake after all. Not a soul to be seen anywhere around here. Maybe I should take this opportunity to practice spellcasting. Nobody around to get in my way, so as long as I don't make too much noise, it should be an ideal time to practice. Ooh, that's definitely my thumbnail. Raise my left hand in the air, my palm facing forward. My feet are spread apart as though I'm taking a fighting stance. I focus all my energy into my left palm. As my energy slowly accumulates, small orbs of light begin to cling to my arm, loosely joining together, slithering along like a snake. Those orbs steadily gain mass. I can feel power swelling up inside of my arm. What pitiful strength I still possess is about to be put to the test. Serpent of light, offer you the warmth of my very life itself. Grow strong off my blood, and in exchange lend that strength to me. Guide me through this darkness now, forevermore. In response to my words, the shining orbs begin to morph further still. Their snake-like shape solidifies, and small, semi-transparent scales begin to manifest. Despite its appearance, the snake is no longer a mere collection of light. It has weight and it can be touched by human hands. As of now, the snake wrapped around my body is real. That took longer than it used to without this angle around my waist, but at least the spell itself was successful. If I can do this much in my current state, then I should have no problem during practical lessons. The serpent, though originally a product of my thoughts, now possesses temporary sentience. It can think, feel, and act without my orders or consent. The serpent can also survive without feeding off my aether, albeit for a short period of time. And if it senses something out of the ordinary, it will not hesitate to leave my side and investigate. Okay, that should be enough for now. Summoning snakes is fun and all, but maintaining this guy's physical form saps my energy like crazy. Without another maid's present to feed it, I can't keep this up for very long. I lower my arms and focus my attention on the summoned creature. With the intent to dissolve its physical form, I cut off the aether I'm feeding it, and concentrate on absorbing what remains of the creature itself. Sorry, buddy, but your time's up. Be a good summoned creature and... Huh? What the? Where are you going? A moment before I can dispel it, My serpent abandons its physical form, passes straight through my body, and floats through the air. It heads towards the building, traveling at a surprising speed, even running at full speed. I cannot keep up with it. Damn, show off. I could go that fast too if I weighed next to nothing. Cursing my own creation, I continue to chase after it. Even though I can no longer see it, I can still sense its presence thanks to the links summoned beasts share with their summoners. That's odd. It should be right around here. Here. Stopped in front of a large metal door. The door appears to connect to the hallway, which leads to the first year's classrooms. However, to the best of my recollection, there is no such exit from within this particular building. In fact, thinking back on my limited time in the courtyard, I cannot recall ever seeing this door before earlier. How strange. I could have sworn this was just an ordinary wall the last time I looked at it. Observe. Try walking through it or observe it. I'm more curious to see what the aether is around it. This door is just an illusion. I should be able to detect the aether signatures of the one creating it. I should be able to see aether around it passing straight by, not passing through the door itself. I slowly begin to grow more sensitive. I unconsciously discard certain visual data, replacing it with my own interpretation of the aether flowing through it. Vibrant streams appears before my eyes, lighting the way forward, despite possessing no physical form. So it is a real door. It's more, quite a large amount of aether is being drawn to it. Whatever is down there, consuming a staggering amount of aether. Cautious of what might lay beyond, I walk over to the door. Someone with 2 feet of the door, I reach out my right hand. My fingertip pushed against the cord metal. I can feel a strange sensation flooding into my body. It's real, but there's something odd about this door. I can't tell if it's been created through special means or it's just usually cloaked by a concealing spell. With my curiosity piqued, still my resolve and press on. The dungeons. Waiting for me on the other side of the door is a cold, dark passageway. Walls are stone. The light is dim. I can see my breath every time I exhale. My first impression is that I've accidentally stumbled upon a dungeon beneath the academy. Does a place like this even exist on campus? I don't remember hearing anything about a dungeon. I'm sure I'd remember seeing something like this in Scentscapes or a map of the academy. Maybe this is where misbehaving students are taken. Well, like the idea of students being chained up inside of a dungeon, I can see how some people might find it necessary. It's an academy filled with demi-humans after all. A powerful student went rogue. He could easily kill someone. Briefly allowing such negative thoughts to enter my mind, I continue walking along the dark passageway. I only faintly sense the presence of my serpent by this point. It's almost out of energy. It will soon disappear. Screw it, there's no point in going any further. I'm curious, undoubtedly curious, but something tells me that I'm not supposed to be down here. No sooner have I considered turning back than I feel my summoned beast disappear. A moment later, I can feel a shiver run down my spine. I wrap my arms around myself for warmth. Shit, how is it so cold down here? I better warm myself up before I freeze to death. Though I'm a bit low on energy after summoning my light serpent, I still managed to cast a low, intense, incendiary spell on myself. My hands become like miniature radiators, quickly warming up my body as I rub myself down. That's my art. Like it? Why does an icebox like this even exist? Cold-blooded students could easily lose their lives down here. I definitely need to research this place when I return to my room. I turn around and start walking back towards the entrance. When I do so, I feel something move behind me. The temperature of the air drops once more. Shivering uncontrollably, I turn my head just far enough to see a vague silhouette approaching upon me. Human skull. Fuck. It's dipping. Damn, dipping. I don't want them to dip that far, but Jesus. Curiosity be damned. I flee in panic, still cradling myself in my arms and frightened by something I can't even describe. Between the freezing cold, the presence which seemed to manifest out of thin air, and the raspy voice of an unseen entity. I've had more than enough exploring for one night. It's okay, Sable, it's okay. It's just a demi-human student playing a prank. Everything that happened can be explained calmly and rationally. I lay down on my bed, throw my blanket over my body, desperate to warm up. Even after running all the way to my bedroom, I still feel an unnatural chill assaulting every inch of my body. Whatever I just experienced wasn't simply a cold night or a chilly wind. Something strange is going on, and while I may lack the energy, bravery to investigate further tonight, I'll undoubtedly dwell on this night until I uncover the truth. He is that kind of person that would do that too. I don't know, me? I think I would ask the principal about it, because he seemed really chill, especially since he thinks you're friends with his daughter. Comforted by the warmth of my bed, I sleep well through the night, despite my anxiety. The allure of losing consciousness and doing nothing for several hours straight finally draws on me. I feel silly for wishing to rid myself of sleep so enthusiastically. So after a good night's rest, I now feel much better, warm, source, and free of last night's terror. Honestly, what was I thinking? Creeping into a dungeon, then complaining about it being cold. What kind of an idiot am I? Heck, at this point, I'm not even sure if what I saw was real or not. I might have just dreamed the whole thing up. Thinking that, I make my way to the cafeteria for breakfast. Unfortunately, my sound sleep has resulted in me waking up later than usual. I've missed my chance to eat in peace. The cafeteria is packed full of students without a free seat anywhere. Oh. But I don't know what to do. Because even if I... I'm just gonna order something, fuck it. Guess it can't be helped. Still need to eat. I'm gonna have to push through my masses of hungry students in order to do so. After standing in line for 10 or so minutes, I buy a ready-made sandwich and take my leave. I eat while walking towards my classroom, relieved to be away from the crowded cafeteria. Maybe I should head into town, go shopping for food. It's been a long trip, but having a surplus of instant food would definitely be more convenient. I may have temporarily given up cutting sleep out of my life. The same could not be said for food. Even if I cannot use photosynthesis like certain demi-humans can, at least possible for me to save time by purchasing instant food in bulk. Still, traveling a city would take a fair chunk out of my allowance. If I were more powerful, I'd at least consider making a trip solo by using magic. Like dropping my body weight close to zero and running there, or even flying? That's impossible for me, especially now. Even if I tried, I'd just wind up getting stranded halfway there. Guess I'll just have to put that idea to rest until I've saved up enough money to make the trip worthwhile. Complaining to myself internally, I approach my classroom. Ooh. Before I can enter, however, I spy a familiar face. Sable, there you are. I've been looking all over for you. I wince as Draxton's excited voice suddenly enters my ears from a much shorter distance than expected. The gap between us is closed in a heartbeat, and before I realize it, I've already entered a conversation with her. Well, you found me. What's up? Oh, nothing really. Just wondering where you were this morning. I was waiting for you in the cafeteria, but you never showed up. Did you eat breakfast before me today? It's pretty confident I woke up right around the time when they started serving food. Right, come to think of it, Draft did confess to being an early riser yesterday. I was awake at the time because I went to bed at an early hour, but it seems that for Draken, that's her norm. No, I didn't wake up before you. I actually stayed up late last night, so I wound up sleeping in this morning. Oh, so that's it. You say, what did you stay up doing? Practicing magic, playing games, talking to your roommate? First option. Went out into the courtyard to get a bit of practice in while nobody was around. Ooh, you don't say. I'd like to join you, but it's just way too cold for me outside at night, especially in the courtyard. So you're cold-blooded after all. I was kind of wondering, since you're only half dragon, Can't you just warm yourself up using magic, though? I can, and I'm much weaker than you are. Well, it's not like I can't. But even then, the cold of the courtyard at night is a bit much. Because of the wind in the open space? No, because the temperature drop is unnatural. Especially around the dungeon. What? My face freezes in response to Draken's unexpected statement. At first, I doubt my ears. I assumed I simply misheard her, and she misspoke. After repeating her words inside my head, I realized that I am not mistaken. The dungeon is real, and I'm not the only one who's seen it. Dungeon, you say? You mean that one hidden along the wall of this building on the outside? Yeah, that's the one. I was flying around outside on my first night here, when it suddenly appeared out of nowhere. I landed in the courtyard and tried to go inside, but shivering just thinking about it. I wanted to go exploring, but it's far too cold for me. Felt like my tail would fall off at any second. You too, huh? I thought that I might be able to enter the dungeon if I were more powerful. I guess it isn't that simple. Draken can't enter either, then perhaps sheer strength is somewhat needed after all. Oh well, forget about that stupid dungeon. But there's no treasure in there anyway. More importantly, what time did you usually wake up? I don't know. I haven't really established a routine at this academy yet, so it's hard to say. Oh, that's too bad. Tell me when you figured it out, okay? I'll wait for you to get up so that we can eat breakfast together. Okay, I can do that. But you know, if eating together is your goal, then wouldn't dinner be great? Can't wait. Try to make it early, okay? There are no lines that way, and we can pick up whichever seats we want. Just something to keep in mind. Later. Draken waves goodbye over her shoulder as she heads to her own classroom, giving me no time to make an alternative proposition. Alteration, yeah, same thing. I wonder what Draken would think if she knew I was hoping to evade going to the cafeteria together. I don't see what's wrong with her. She's just excited. Not that I'd tell her that. If I did, she'd probably show up at my dorm room at some unspeakable hour so that we could eat breakfast together. Smirking at the slightly rude thought, temporarily put the topic to rest and enter my classroom. Putting aside any lingering thoughts I have pertaining to the academy dungeon, I attend my first class of the day dutifully. Subject matter is admittedly mundane, but I try to pay attention nevertheless. By the end of the lesson, I'm one of the few students who seems to have done so. Who would have thought that magic history class could be so boring? When I studied sages of legend or history of man's understanding of magic or even the evolution of runics, I found it all incredibly interesting. But somehow, when our disinterested teacher gives a half-assed lecture and tells us to do the rest ourselves, it just seems so pointless. Impressed by my teacher's lack of enthusiasm, my gaze constantly drifts towards the front of the room. Surprisingly, Eris is still here. She isn't doing anything apart from sitting on her ass, zoning out. At least she's present, not mentally. I begin to stare at Eris while wondering to myself why she became a teacher in the first place. Not you too, Sable. That vile woman has put too many spells in. My concentration broke as a displeased voice calls to me from my side. Don't be silly. Sable wouldn't fall for her, so strict. There's no way that anyone capable of breaking through my illusions would be susceptible to hers. Thanks for the vote of confidence, though. And no, I'm not under her spell. Quite the opposite, actually. Oh, then you're getting fed up with her teaching style. Not that I would even call it that. You said it. But what really vexed me isn't her attitude. It's just that there's nothing we can do to make her take our class seriously. I mean, it's not like I can make her teach us. You could try. Just do what Eros always does, but instead of making her fall for you, manipulate her into doing her job. I can't even begin to tell you all the things wrong with that plan. Without giving too much thought to Hal's suggestion, my gaze once again rests on Eris's. She's now toying with her terminal, killing the remaining few minutes before our first break of the day comes to an end. I'm really gonna try something before our next class doesn't begin. I need to do it now. I think it'd be fun to confront her. You know what? Let's give it a shot. It's not like I have anything to lose. Let's see if I can convince Eris to start taking our lessons a little more seriously. Not any real plan in mind. I leave the side of my classmates and head to the front of the room. Still eyeing her terminal, Eris pays me no mind. Even as I walk right up to her, she still doesn't acknowledge my presence. It seems I'll need to make first contact after all. Not even a glance. Teacher. Eris. Morose. Ugh. At last, my words delicious a reaction. Even first year students are calling me that now. Honestly, I ever do deserve such a horrible nickname. I don't know about your nickname, but if you're wondering about how to endure yourself, a little more not interested. I even suggest that Eris should take her job more seriously. She shuts me down. Oh, come on, you're our teacher, for crying out loud. At least listen to what your student has to say. What should I? Why should I? It's not like you have anything interesting to tell me. It's your job as a student to listen to your teacher, not the other way around. So why don't you just be a good little boy and leave your busy teacher alone? Busy teacher, playing with your terminal and planning lessons. You're reading about elven history. And if I have to teach this subject in the future, I'll be ready to do so. I sigh in frustration, as the immovable object, known as my teacher, stubbornly refuses to budge in the slightest. Well, I'm glad that she's at least using this time to learn something pertinent to her job. It's clear that she didn't start researching the topic for such a noble reason. Fine, don't teach us. I feel sorry for the other students, but I'm sure that it'll be fine just without your tutelage. Whatever you say, kiddo. Now scram. I've already wasted enough time listening to your whining. My teacher's prompt. I leave her side and return to my desk. The moment I do, my classmates approach me. Once more, curious about my conversation with Eris. So how'd it go? About as well as you'd expect. Eris barely even acknowledged my existence. There's no way she was going to take my concern seriously. That is because you neglected the proper process. Next time, sweep our teacher off her feet. Hold her close and gently whisper your troubles into her ear. If you do that, she will have no choice but to heed your words. Yeah, right, before giving me a suspension. I'm just gonna leave her alone. Maybe she's just in bad mood this week, and next week she'll become the splitting image of an ideal teacher. I wouldn't count on it. Time may be a great healer of wounds, but is no cure for apathy. Taking Leisha's warning to heart, I sigh in resignation as I sit down once more, moments before our break comes to its natural conclusion. Whether my words had any impact on Eris or not is yet to be seen. All I can do right now is pay attention, listen to what my teacher says, and hope for the best. Green giant. My first and second class of the day now behind me, I make my way into the courtyard. Despite resolving myself to leave the matter alone mere hours ago, my curiosity is eating away at me. I can't hold back any longer. I may have prioritized food earlier, but right now, what I need most to put my mind at ease. What is the meaning behind that dungeon? Who is responsible for hiding it? Why is it so cold? Until I can answer those questions, there's no way that I'll be satisfied. While the courtyard is empty and everyone else is too busy eating in the cafeteria to notice me, I traverse the courtyard and head over to the concealed dungeon. Upon arriving in front of the dungeon, however, I'm greeted by an unexpected sight. It's visible. No, wait, did someone else break the illusion before I did? Or did the person concealing the dungeon come back? Keep my distance, monitor the dungeon entrance for a while. Running out of sight. After a few minutes, I see two figures shuffling around near the entrance. Can't see them well enough to discern their identities. All I can do be certain is that they're wearing our uniform. Walk right up. Yeah, man. I want to uncover the secrets of the Academy dungeon. I can't afford to waste time hesitating. I need to face the ones responsible for concealing it head on, so I can find out what they're doing and why. Prompting myself, my own self-serving reasoning, I stop hiding and come out into the open. Walk straight over to mysterious figures. As I grow close, I realize that I'm already acquainted with one of them. Juro. Oh, I'm sorry. We won't do it again, please, I promise. The moment I say her name, Juro panics and begins to apologize. On the other hand, her partner in crime remains calm and composed. Relax, it's just a student. Eh? Oh, haha, you're right. Sorry. Meeting during the day like this has me on edge. You're always like this. If you don't learn to calm down once in a while, the stress is going to kill you. I know how to relax. It's just when people sneak up on me that I get jumpy. Or if a stranger starts talking to you. Yes, that's true. Or if someone whips out a bottle of insect repellent. Yes, that's... Wait, no, I'm not an insect. They usually work on arachnids too. I'm not an arachnid either. I'm just as human as you are. That isn't saying much. I watch on with great curiosity as Jiro and her accomplices continue to talk. They seem to have forgotten all about my presence, but honestly, I don't mind. Listening to the playful dialogue of the two unusual demi-humans is more than enough to stimulate for me. Anyways, as I was saying, Sable. You only just noticed it was me. No. Ah, no, that's correct. Don't worry about it. We only just met the other day. I didn't expect you to remember me that vividly. Yes, but most people make a conscious effort to avoid Jojo. So she makes a point of remembering those who actually talk to her. Jojo. Her points at Juru. Her nickname is Jojo. I'm gonna try and remember that. It is not. Please don't teach new students weird things like that. Only Hera calls me Jojo. That isn't even close to being true. Besides, even if only one person calls you a name, that still makes it a valid nickname. Jojo, huh? You don't look like a Jojo to me. Ugh, not you too, Sable. Majiro quickly sulks. Hera turns her eyes towards me. So then, Sable, was it? How was a first year such as yourself become acquainted with Jojo? Oh yeah, I guess it seems a little odd for a first year and a third year to be on friendly terms already. That isn't what I meant. As Hera's gaze narrows, I feel a slight chilly run down my spine. A few seconds later, the chill has spread to my legs. I feel generally cold. I look down at my hand and realize they are shaking. My skin has lost color and my teeth are beginning to chatter. Although not to the same extreme as last time, it's a feeling that I remember correctly. You're the one I met in the dungeon last night. Her leans in closer and run her eyes over my body. Oh, I remember you now. You're the human who sent a summoned beast into my dorm room in the dead of night. But seeing, I need to question you more thoroughly than expected. The moment Hera finished speaking, I feel my body temperature plummet. Whether it's her intent or not, Hera's almost reached the point where she's putting my life at risk. Look, whatever you want to ask me, you can't do that if I'm dead. Sable's right, Hera. Get a hold of yourself. Prompted by my plea, more likely Jiro scolding, Hera eases up her attack. The unnatural cold assaulting my body begins to disperse. And although I'm still shivering, the source of my hypothermia seems to have disappeared. A little bit of help from the sun. Soon, I'll feel alive once more. Sheesh, what was that about, Hera? Even if Sable played a prank on you, that's no reason to almost kill someone. Humans are brittle, you know. You can't go around attacking them like that. I take refuge in the courtyard, lapping up direct sunlight. Jiro scolds Hera once more. As for you, Sable, it's not what it sounds like. Still shivering, I defend myself promptly. I was just practicing out in the courtyard. I didn't even know this dungeon existed until my summoned beast ran off. Dungeon? You mean the underground facilities? Point to the large door at the wall behind them. Through there? Oh yes, you're referring to the underground facilities after all. Come to think of it, this would only be your third day at the academy. It seems strange for you to know about them already. Using a little bit of my own ether to finish warming up, I finally stop shivering and walk close to Jiro once more. I don't know anything about any other facilities. All I know is that my summoned beast found something unusual last night while I was practicing out in the courtyard. I see. I understand the situation now. In that case, perhaps a tour is in order. Wouldn't you say, Hera? Tour? Do as you please. Heading back to class. Without another word, Hera opens the doors to the formidable entrance and retreats inside. Despite the size of the doors, she appears to have no difficulty gaining entry. A touch of the hand is all it takes for her to enter. Oh yes, come to think of it, first years and second years wouldn't be returning to classes soon, won't they? It's a shame. I guess I'll give you a tour when we have to wait for another time. Come and see me when you are free. If you wish to see the underground facilities for yourself, I'll happily serve as your guide anytime. Cool. Despite the temptation that I feel to skip class and hang out with Jiro a while longer, I feel my role as a diligent student and turn up to class right on time. Normally I'd end the video here. I don't feel like doing that. But this does feel like a good spot to end it, so hopefully I'll find another good one in a second. As I enter the classroom, what I find awaiting me is a noisy room filled to the brim with excitement. All of my classmates, most of whom are typically indifferent when it comes to our lessons, seem to be looking forward to what is about to come our way. Whatever Eris has told them, she's managed to rile them up considerably. Sable, my dear, Finally, the guest of honor arrives. Come, please take a seat. Okay. Follow Hale over to my usual seat. As I walk across the room, I notice several students staring at me, whispering among themselves. When I sit down next to LaShaw, the volume grows and the number of people staring at me increase. Is there something I should be aware of? Why, whatever do you mean, Sable? Don't act like that. You don't know. There's clearly something going on here. Why is everyone staring at me? Ah, so you've begun to question your own popularity. I suppose it's only natural for one to worry their social standing from time to time. No, that's not really what I'm talking about. Sensing that I won't get a straight answer out of Hale, I glance over at Alicia. When our eyes meet, she sighs and begins to explain. Before you arrived, Eris informed the class that we'd be sending this lesson engaging in an orthodox glyph transcription. Ever since then, half the class has been waiting anxiously for you to arrive. Unorthodox. Oh, creative. That is another name for it, yes. Creative typography. Existing combination spellcasting. There are many names for this particular subject, and after hearing a few, one might hazard a guess as to what the lesson on the subject entails. For most people, first guess would likely be correct. Despite the particular names, the subject is actually quite easily to understand. But simply, we play around with existing spells and techniques, and try to come up with something new based on what we already know. We mix in magic glyphs, change established protocols, and generally just have fun creating new spells to call our own. I'm sure the Academy will put restrictions in place for this subject, especially after what happened on my first day at this Academy. Even so, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't looking forward to this. The moment I think about what is yet to come, I understand why my classmates are so excited, and why they keep looking at Lisha and myself. Used a rather advanced spell in the middle of our particular practical spellcasting. Lisa is valedictorian of our grade, not to mention an elf, and the daughter of our principal. The students in our class, we are quite possibly the two most interesting to watch, especially when it comes to the subjects such as this. Alright, looks like everyone's here now. For those of you who only just arrived, the lesson is going to be on orthodox glyph transcription. Before you ask, yes, that does mean you get to play around with glyphs as a little lesson. More than half of the classes cheer in response to Eris' assures. Even for students who aren't interested in creating new spells, there is still some value and excitement to be had in watching others do so. Whether they plan to keep an eye on LaShaw and myself, or they simply want to muck around with their friends, it should prove to be an enjoyable lesson. Don't get too excited. I'm going to lay out some ground rules, First off, you will not cast any of the spells you create until I've reviewed your work, giving my approval. Can't have you accidentally poisoning the class or blowing up walls after all. Second, any spells casting will be done in front of the class, one person at a time. Finally, you use a little aether as required when casting your spell. If I see you missing a large amount of aether, I will disrupt your spell casting myself. Do you all understand? Yes. Good. In that case, you may begin whenever you are ready. Even though Eris rules put a damper on the enthusiasm of some, the students present we all waste no time getting to work. Some students turn on the physical terminals on their desks, others begin writing aether dust and coming up with lists of possible combinations. Whatever their individual process may be, there isn't a single student in the classroom who isn't taking this lesson seriously. I guess I better get to work myself then. Of all the subjects we'd be taking, this is without a doubt the one I'm most suited to. If I can't get to the top marks in this class, I might as well quit the academy and give up on magic altogether. Full of self-confidence, I begin to think about what kind of combination I'll show to the class. The spell I created myself and have used before is something brand new and flashy. I love the word flashy. Okay, let's make this lesson to remember. Make up from this embarrassment I suffered on my first day. Show everyone here what I'm truly capable of. Pumping myself up with words of encouragement, I begin to trace out glyphs that I seldom use in order to create a new flashy spell. And only apt for glyphs that I haven't experimented with very much in the past, but I've used enough to know their effects. In particular, I focus on mimicking incendiary spells. I usually steer clear of incendiary magic, as I have little use of destructive spells. When it comes to showing off something like literal bang, is usually a safe bet. I smile to myself as I work, researching magic, gaining through understanding of how it works, and then applying what I've learned in order to create something new. It doesn't get any better than this. It's quite an interesting arrangement. You have there, Sable. Will it actually work? I continue to move my hands as I respond to Lisha. I hope so. I'm no expert on incendiary magic, so I can't be 100% certain. What about you, Lisha? Have you thought of something interesting? Though it shames me to admit this, creating new spells is not my forte. My specialty lies in observing the work of others and mastering what they have shared with the world. Really? That's great. In what manner is that great? Are you making fun of me? No, not at all. Truth be told, I fancy myself an expert when it comes to creating new spells. But that just isn't it. I'm an expert at creating spells, not casting them. When it comes to time to actually use the spells I create, I often fall short. So far, someone like me who creates spells they can't even use. Stop talking. I understand what you're saying. You believe that we can make up for each other's shortcomings, correct? Smiling, I slightly nod. As an interesting proposition. However, the fact remains that you have yet to prove yourself as the expert you claim to be. I will not be your lab rat. If you desire my assistance, you must first earn my respect. Let's pass this off. Focus on our teacher for a moment. At this point, nobody has approached her. Quite possibly the only person who has completed their new spell, or at least the only one game enough to show their work to the class. If Lisha needs proof of my expertise, this is my opportunity to give it. Alright then, it's proof that you want. Proof that you will get. Stay right here and watch surpass all of your expectations of me. That wouldn't be very difficult. Try not to hurt anyone this time, okay? The moment I begin to talk myself up, Lisha effortlessly tears through my hubris. Unfortunately, she's right to do so. My first day at this academy, I made a mistake. A bad one, which will haunt me for a long time to come. But this time around, I'm confident that everything will go according to plan. My ether output is limited, but my bangle on my wrist, after all, in addition to that, Eris will be watching me closely, ready to step in if I make a mistake. This will not be a repeat of last time. Well, class show-off is the first after all. Even though I expected as much, I must admit, I'm a little surprised. I wasn't sure if you'd have the guts to assault your entire class again so soon. I won't make any excuses about what happened last time. I know that I messed up. I promise I'll never do something like that ever again. Of course you won't. Even if that wasn't your intention, it's not like you'd be able to. That's just down at the bangle on my wrist. It should seem that she knows about my punishment after all. Here's that. But more importantly, you will not be participating in this peculiar demonstration. What did you say? You heard me. After what happened last time, do you really think that you'd be allowed to cast a brand new spell, untested, unpredictable spell in front of a class full of students? But I'll calm down. You can still make some stupid little spell if you want. But I will be the one casting it, not you, got it? With my lips trembling, with my mental state slight disarray, I swallow my complaints and nod. This is still okay. The point of this lesson is to create a spell, not use it. If Eris is willing to cast my new spell in front of everyone herself, then I have nothing to complain about. Calming myself down with those words of reassurance, I take a deep breath and raise my right hand. Using only my index finger, I draw a pattern in the air with many curves and squiggles. Perhaps I draw more like an illustration of a child rather than a work of a mage. Nevertheless, the peculiar drawings gradually take form. Before long, I've arranged all set of solemn used glyphs, an arrangement yet to be recorded in history. Is this spell you came up with? I suppose the purpose of this lesson is to come up with something unique. You shouldn't have done that. Alright, fine, I can work with this. Once a few more students are ready, perform your spell in front of the class. 20 minutes pass by before a second student finally approaches Eris. With that person acting as the trigger, other students gradually shuffle towards the front of the classroom, each anxiously awaiting their turn to speak to the teacher. One by one, they all have their spells approved by Eris. They then line up next to me, face our classmates, waiting in quiet anticipation of what is yet to come. 15 minutes later, no more volunteers have shown up, prompting our teacher to move things along. Only 7 volunteers, huh? Sheesh. What an uncreative bunch you are. Oh well. Still more than last year. I turned my head to the side and looked at the people standing beside me. The faces of the 6 students are familiar. I don't know any of their names. nor have we ever spoken before. I'm a little disappointed that Alicia are sitting this one out. At least I'm not the only one up here. Call me biased, but I think it's great to see students taking this class seriously. Alright, let's do this in reverse chronological order of who volunteered. You're first. Make sure you show me something interesting. Yes, ma'am. Screw those guys, come to me. I knew you kids were hopeless. That was just wow. Hey, I tried my best, yeah? Well, your best sucked. Never done this before. What are you expecting me to do? Something better than that, obviously. Geez, 6 failures in a row. You're lucky this subject is only graded on written theory. Not one of you would pass a practical exam. Aaron quickly gains the edge. 6 classmates would immediately begin to ask themselves why they even bothered. I don't disagree with Eris's judgment, but she could at least word her feedback a little more nicely. Isn't it a teacher's job to encourage their students? Okay, one more and we'll all be done. Sable, you're up. Show me. Oh, alright. Eris cuts herself short, as she almost gives me permission to continue. I guess it'll actually my turn, isn't it? Show me the arrangement one more time. Alright, my spell in the air in front of Eris one more time. Carefully following my instructions, Eris begins casting, and moments later, a ball of fire appears in front of her. Basic incendiary spell, is it? I recognized one of the glyphs, but those others are all bizarre. Is this really all there is to this spell? I was expecting something more impressive. As things stand, it looks like you just created a needlessly complicated and ineffective fireball spell. Displaying obvious distaste amusement, Eris stares at the fireball she created. She calls it basic incendiary spell, just an ordinary fireball. And to be fair, she's right. At the moment, what she has cast is nothing more than a tiny fireball. That's because of her failure, not mine. Teacher, I don't mean to sound rude, but I believe you made a mistake. Take another look at those 2 glyphs. What are you? Oh, hang on, I see what you mean. But wait, I'm reading these correctly. That's right, these are characteristics of shielding and fermenting, not movement. Or, well, so be it. That's what you want me to cast, then. Whoa. Look how lizards. You gotta be shitting me. Showing off prowess that I personally do not possess modifies the structure of her spell without recasting it. As she does, the fireball grows exponentially in an instant, and its properties shift unexpectedly. The basic incendiary spell she cast moments ago has changed into something completely defying her expectations. This is a spell combining expansive flames and a protective core. My idea was to create a spell which protects its caster without removing them from the area of the effect. The mage were to cast this spell on a large scale, putting themselves at the center. They could avoid all harm while burning their surroundings to ash. I advise this as a defensive maneuver, for example. If you were surrounded by demi-human hunters on all sides, you could use this to scatter the enemy while protecting yourself. Furthermore, I stop explaining myself as I realize that no one is listening to me. Eris in particular is speechless. She seems to be well and truly absorbed in the spell that she's just cast. As I look around the classroom, I notice that Lisha is in a similar state. While my other classmates are impressed, they don't really understand what is going on or why Eris is so amazed. But Lisha does. That's impossible. How did I combine these 3 conflicting families of magic into a single spell? If you like, I could. I turn back around and look towards Eris as the heat radiating from behind me suddenly disappears. Eris has finally come to her sentence and cut off the Acer supply to her hands, putting an unnecessary, sloppy, and abrupt end to the spell I had cast. Had her cast. Sable? Yes? Principal's office. Now. Well, why? I didn't. Right now. Giving me no opportunity to argue, Eris grabs my hand and forcefully removes me from the classroom, without offering so much as a word instruction to our other classmates. It seems that once again, I've unintentionally landed myself in trouble. Eris and I walk hand in hand for much longer than a student and their teacher ever should. We pass through the corridor after corridor, most of which are thankfully empty, and slowly making our way to the principal's office. This is just my luck. We finally have a class I'm good at. What happens? I get sent to the principal's office. I look over at Eris, who's still walking beside me. Even though she has let go of my hand, she's still watching me like a hawk and refuses to let the distance between us grow. No, rather than being sent, it would be more accurate to say that I'm being transported like a criminal. moving to a higher security prison. Whatever I did, Eris isn't taking the situation lightly. Rather than attempt to question my teacher again, I walk in silence. The principal's door is now visible, so whatever it is that I've done wrong, I'll find out soon enough. Inn, are you in here? This is important. Without so much as greeting, Eris storms into the inn's office. Right behind her, I nervously shuffle my way into the room, still not entirely sure why I'm here in the first place. Well, now, if it isn't my favorite succubus, to what do I owe this? Cut the crap. I just said this was important. The principal looks past Eris and notices my presence. I see you again, huh? What did you do this time, Sable? Nothing. I think. And yet Miss Monte apparently thinks differently. Here to chime in here, Miss Monte. You are the accusing party here, after all. Accusing party, my ass. Sable, show him the formula you showed me. Formula? We were just in the middle of creative comedy class. Oh, the unorthodox. How fun. Okay, so what happened? Did you pull a prank on your teacher? Did you spell right out dirty words? It sounds to me like if anyone here should be sent to the principal's office, it's you. All I did was create a spell and submit it to my teacher. A real spell, not a prank. Yeah, a real spell, not a prank. Then what's the problem? Did you plagiarize another student's work? Like I would do that. Just show him the damn spell already. And when you see what this kid came up with, you'll understand. Oh. In that case, do show me, child. Show me the fruits of your labor. Seeing no reason not to comply with the principal's request, I repeat the same process as in the classroom. I wave my right index finger in the air, leaving behind the trail of aether dust. As my writing takes form, discernible glyphs begin to manifest, at which point the principal brings his face closer. See here. Basic incendiary spell, this is why you were brought to my office. I'll admit that it's an odd way to go about invoking a spell, but it's hardly something that's worth it. Don't be fooled, the spell isn't as simple as it seems. So how did you figure... Oh. The principal stops mid-sentence as his eyes open wide. Unlike Eris, he discerns the truth and nature of the spell on his own. This is a defensive spell. Shield of fire, perhaps? No. A protective sphere. And then there's the movement of the flames. It's not just a defensive spell, is it? This is a spell of defending oneself from many attackers at one time. Shield yourself at the center, then create a growing spear of flame as to counterattack. You understood all that just from reading the glyphs? I've been studying magic for centuries, Sable. If you show me a spell's formula, there's little that I can't tell you about it. But my talents are not the topic of discussion right now. Yours are. Where on earth did you learn a spell like this? Did you decipher an ancient tome or poem the Grimoire of Great Mage? Why must you jump to conclusions? That isn't someone else's work. I created that spell myself. It is completely my work and was not based on the work of anyone else. That's impossible. There's no way that... Miss Monte, principal, interrupts Eris the moment she begins to shout. I will take care of this. Please return to your classroom. Without putting up a fight, Eris places her trust in the principal's judgment and leaves the room. It's now just the two of us, the principal and I alone, once again in his office. I hope he doesn't strip me of another magical artifact, strap me with another. Okay then, now that Miss Monte is gone, let's begin this discussion in earnest. I'll ask you one more time, Sable. Where'd you learn that spell? Nowhere. I created it myself. Is that your final answer? It is the truth. Alright. There's no need to get upset. In that case, let me ask you a different question. Where did you learn the glyphs you used in the creation of that spell? The glyphs? Most of these glyphs used in the spell are uncommon, to say the least. We don't teach them at this academy. Even if we did, we certainly wouldn't teach them to first-year students. There aren't glyphs you can freely learn about from any old textbook either. They're certainly not detailed in any human literature I've ever come across. That all being the case, where did you learn about these types of glyphs? Even through the principal's questioning is straightforward and simple to understand. It isn't easy for me to answer. Truth is, I don't know where I learned them. Most of the glyphs I use, some I learned from textbooks, and others I glanced from studentscapes and magical tools, or even some which I discovered through simple trial and error. To be honest, I'm not really sure. I've learned a lot of them over the past few years. I can't remember the origin of every single one. Then think harder. Ooh. Principal is probably short and to the point, but rather than his words, what strikes me is his tone of voice. It doesn't seem like I'll be able to get away with a half-ass answer like I don't remember, even if it's the truth. Should I just lie and tell him that I found some old tome? And then I learned about it from someone else. No, even I told a lie like that. I don't have no way of backing it up. Maybe I can change the subject instead, stifle my expression, and address the principal. Why does it matter where I learned those glyphs? What you care about is the arrangement, right? Isn't that why I was brought here? The reason why you were brought here is irrelevant. What matters now is that you tell me what I want to know. If you uncovered a document containing runic script, then it must be studied by neutral parties and kept out of the wrong hands. If someone taught you what you know, then you must be identified and questioned. They must be identified and questioned. Magic is an important tool. Matters pertaining to its fundamentation must be handled with discern. That is why I seek your cooperation regarding this matter. I get what you're saying, but I don't really have any answers. Probably just made those glyphs myself anyway. Don't toy with me. You cannot simply make a brand new glyph. What are you talking about? Of course I can. I can't say for sure that I created those particular. With confidence, I've created separate glyphs of my own. Stop posturing, human. Nobody can create new runes, much less a mere human being. Speak for yourself, old man. Just because you can't do something, that doesn't mean other people should be limited to your own shortcomings. Then what? I should just take your word for it? That you are capable of something that no other mage has ever done throughout history? Get over yourself, you're not that special. The principal and I both stop talking. We simply glare at one another, without saying or doing anything more. Only the sound of heavy breathing continues to fill the room. Shit, belligerent old man. Old fool. Just who does he think he is? Runes weren't just created out of thin air. Obviously someone had to have created them. If one person could do it, why can't a second? Straighten my posture, slow down my breathing as I think about what to do next. Even if I show the principal glyph that I created myself, he'll just assume that I gleaned it from some unknown source. But if I go through my entire process with him, explain all my research partaking to the fundamentals of magic itself, there will be no going back. It may be painful to be looked down upon like this, but the alternative is to come clean about my research, and I have no choice. Shake my head in hesitation before addressing the principal once more. I understand why you can't accept what I'm saying. But that doesn't mean it isn't the truth. Runic script isn't something that just suddenly appeared in this world out of thin air. It was created by someone or something as a means of communication and instructing to other parties. Glyphs are ultimately just instructions in the levitating aether. Anyone could potentially create a new one if they possess the time and motivation. The only reason why nobody has done it so far is that they've given up because people like you tell them that's impossible and admonishes them for even trying. You believe that to be the case, do you? I do. Perhaps you have a point. Even if I believe that a particular path is a dead end, that is no reason for me to discourage a student from pursuing what I myself will not. Please forgive my outburst. I should not have been so close-minded. Unless it's not that big of a deal. If someone suddenly told me they accomplished something that no one else had, wouldn't have believed them either. You have every right to be skeptical. Even so, I should have been more open to hearing you out, both as your principal and as a fellow mage. The principal's attitude changes completely as he accepts my argument, despite the fact that I haven't shown him any proof to back up my claims. He seems to at least agree that there are some things even he does not understand. Sable, forgive me for repeating myself. I want to ask you one last time, have you truly created a brand new glyph? Yes, I have. Please show it to me. Half expecting that very question, I nod my head and raise my right hand. After taking a moment to think about which glyph to show the principal, I begin to wave my index finger. A few seconds later, I lower my hand, then gesture for Aaron to take a look. This is the glyph you created. One of them, yeah. Can you read it? Not as easily as I would like to think. Let me see, if I'm not mistaken, this is the basis of a rejuvenation spell, correct? Specifically, I've been trying to come up with a spell to eliminate the effects of sleep, the effects of Sable, magnificent creature. You've taken up the age-old pursuit of reclaiming those extra 8 hours a day, have you? You know it. Couldn't find any other runes with the effects that I was after, so I decided to start experimenting myself with something brand new. It isn't complete, of course, but what you see here is the foundation I've created. So what do you think? Did I steal this from somewhere else, or have I created something new? No, I concede. This is definitely your own work. This glyph is far too sloppy and impractical to have survived since time immortal. Hey, what was that supposed to mean? I already said that it was incomplete. Besides, it's better than anything you've come up with. Haha, don't pout, child. You've done well. Even if you cannot create anything useful right now, this is still an accomplishment beyond compare. Take a few more years to hone your skills and present your work to the world. This is my advice to you. I slacken my expression and stare at the principal questioningly. So you believe me? Why wouldn't I? Proof is right here in front of me. You don't think I just ripped it off someone else's work, did you? Of course not. Then no, I don't believe you ripped off someone else's work. If you say that this is your own work, I'll choose to believe you. My shoulders heave as I breathe a sigh of relief. Looking back, I always thought somewhere in my back of my mind that when I presented my research to other mages, people would automatically accept and be amazed by it. Without realizing it, I've been downplaying the reality of how potential discoveries are questioned and whatever that word is. I focused on the end game, not the processes. I never even considered the possibility that I might have to be challenged like this. In that regard, this encounter has been quite the learning experience. So what now? Sharing to class for the rest of the lesson, or? Good question. I believe that all students should attend classes when they first begin studying here, regardless of potential race and strength. But seeing as you have already decided on your own path, perhaps there is no such need. What do you think, Sable? Would you take to continue attending classes as you have been until now, or would an alternative agreement suit you better? Alternative agreement? What do you mean exactly? I mean that there is little point in attending a variety of classes if you already excel to such a degree in a particular area, especially when that field is one in dire need of an upheaval and has seen no growth for centuries. Sable, I'm offering you the opportunity to come and go as you please. If you think about a particular lesson will benefit your studies, then you may attend it regardless of which class or grade it currently engaging in that lesson. Conventionally, if you find a lesson boring or unhelpful, you will have the same freedoms afforded to you that third year and higher students already enjoy. Like a third year, my eyes widen as I start to think about the principal's proposal. Due to the dwindling numbers of people who remained at the academy for longer than 2 years, the fact that a student being specialized after their second year, third year students are treated rather differently. First and foremost, third year students do not have set classes. They are given the freedom to study what they want and when they want. You can ask teachers to give them special lessons or request specific materials required to further their studies, practically without a limit. Their only responsibility as a student is to continue their studies dutifully and twice a year present their results of the research to the academy principal for grading. That does sound like an amazing opportunity. If I could continue my research here and expand access to teachers, materials, and funding, surely make a great stride forward. That being said, there's one part of being a third year student that I don't particularly want to experience. I narrow my gaze and stare at the principal as an important question comes to mind. When you liken my position to that of a third year, does that include the mandatory precipitation in the hunt? How sharp. I'm surprised you even know about that requirement. I like how he's like, is that a yes? I'm afraid so. You know, the hunt, as you all seem to call it, does not deserve the negative image it has cultivated over the years. Yes, demi-humans are often pit against one another in combat. Sometimes people are even killed. Dang it. Not a drink. Ultimately, however, the hunt is for the greater good. You think so? Most demi-humans seem to be opposed to the idea. Most demi-humans are laughably ignorant. This system allows demi-humans to police their own kind. It gives us the opportunity to enforce the law with understanding rather than prejudice. If we left demi-human matters entirely to human military or police, what do you think will happen? War. It'd be war, yeah. Whether it's a good thing or not, I'm just thinking that it should be done by someone else, that you don't want to get your hands dirty. Or maybe you think that students shouldn't be hunting for potential dangerous criminals. Sable, I've heard more realizations, excuses in my time than you would have believed. Every year, there are many third-year students who try to shrink their duties. Of those students, only the ones who caved in to my demands have remained at this academy. If you want some special treatment that a third year student receives, then you also bear the same responsibilities. Okay, accept the princess. Hope I accepted. I can do whatever the hell I want, but I gotta go hunting. I remain a normal first year student. I feel like this is a big choice. Thinking on my first playthrough, I accept the princesses. Jesus, I accept the principal's proposal. A lot of people are gonna hate me. Remain a normal first year student. Oh, screw it. Let's do first year student. God, I don't want to sit here for too long. Make the video just me deciding. Let's say put it to a vote. I don't have enough people watching me. Be like, hey, on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z, I'll give myself 10 seconds starting now. I'll pick something. Okay, end up. Offer. I'm certainly not going to deny that. But really, ditching class to oppose potentially dangerous criminals, throwing away the entire academy curriculum so I could go back to doing what I did alone before I came here. On top of that, there's the fact that I've been knowingly taking on the stigma attached to participating in the hunt. Whether that stigma is deserved or not, my presence here as a human attending a school dominated by demi-humans is curious enough as it is. For all the opportunities the principal offer could bring, it seemed like I'd be sacrificing far too much in return. Having reached my conclusion, I shake my head. God, I almost want to go back. I know I'm gonna play through at least most of this, but this is such a hard block. Like, this is a block. It's gonna block a lot. Yeah, let's just do first year. I see. That is regrettable. Sorry. I appreciate the offer. I really do, but it's fine. You don't need to explain. Just keep in mind that the offer still stands. If you experience a change of heart, know that my door is always open to you. Yeah, I'm gonna end the episode here. Ooh, this one went for an hour and a half, so definitely about almost twice as long than normal videos, or my other videos, I should say. So catch you guys next time.